And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at the Lord of the Rings Confrontation. This is part of a series where I'm talking about, here in the Dice Tower we talk about new games all the time, but we're going to talk about some classic games. The Lord of the Rings, the Confrontation, came out 20 years ago. This particular version actually came out a little bit after that, 2005, where Fantasy Flight took Reiner Knizia's original game and added, basically, they doubled the amount of content in it. Do you like Lord of the Rings? Do you like Stratego? You'll like this game. Done. Review's over. That's all you need to know. But if you don't know anything about either one of those, actually, I don't know. If you don't like Lord of the Rings, it's still a good game, but the lore does help out a lot. But either way, let me show you how it plays, and we'll be back. So this is the way that the board is set up between the different players. Each player has 9 characters and 9 cards. The 9 characters are all very different, and you're going to put 1 in the 5 starting territories, and the other 4, so the good guy's going to put their 4 in the Shire, the bad guy's going to put their 4 in Mordor. You can pick which characters go where. And I should mention that while the characters are very different, and there's a reference sheet that shows you what all the characters do. Each character has a number, that's their strength, plus a special ability. There is a variant set included in the game where you can take them out and put them in on the other side. So instead of playing with Boromir, I can play with Treebeard. And you can even play a draft variant where you can pick which side you want to use, and then you have these little tokens just so the other player knows which characters are in the game. So, on your turn, you're going to move a character forward. That's it. Unless the character has a special ability, it lets it move sideways. You move them forward, and it has to be to an adjacent region. There's a couple special rules. If you are here, you can slide through the tunnel of Moria, although if the bad guy has the Balrog there, you're instantly defeated, so you got to be careful for that. When you move into an area, you're allowed to have 2 of your units in the same area, with the exception of your starting area. And in the mountains, you can only have 1 person each. If you move into a spot where there is an enemy, both sides are going to reveal their cards. Hey, it's Gandalf versus Saruman. So first thing you do is you look here at the special abilities. So Gandalf says the Sauron player must play his card first. Saruman says may decide that no cards are played. Well, he's probably going to want to play a card, because if no cards are played, it's 5-4. So Saruman then is going to look through their cards. So Saruman has some number cards. If you play one of these, it's added to the strength. And so they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They also have a special card. Ignore the effect of any text card played by the Fellowship player. Immediately retreat sideways. Or immediately replace this card with a card you've previously used. Because once you play a card, you're not going to get to play that card again until all your cards are gone. The Gandalf team here, the Fellowship team, ignore the strength card played by the Sauron player. That's pretty much a win if Gandalf plays that. They have number cards too, although the Fellowship cards only go 1 through 5. Both characters are immediately defeated. Immediately replace this card with the card you've already used, just like the Sauron player, and immediately retreat backwards. So the Sauron player has more number cards, going up to 6, but the Fellowship player has 4 special cards. Both players put these cards down, reveal them, well, not in this case, because Gandalf says the Sauron player plays their card first, and then whoever is defeated is removed from the game, and you keep going. So you're going to be moving characters around, defeating each other, looking at the special abilities. Boromir has 0 strength, but he defeats the Sauron character that he goes up against. The Warg ignores the text on the Fellowship character's spot. Here we have Pippin. When he's attacking, he can retreat backwards if he finds it's too tough. The Orcs, when they attack, they immediately defeat the first character. So if there's 2 characters, they kill one of them, the first one that they pick, and then the second one they have to fight like normal. While Gimli, who's around here somewhere, immediately defeats the Orcs. So they all have different special abilities that you have to know how to use. Frodo, if Frodo makes it into Mordor, doesn't even matter if there's bad guys there, the Fellowship wins, straight up. If Frodo's ever defeated, Sauron player wins, straight up. Otherwise, if Sauron manages to get 3 characters into the Shire, then Sauron wins. Now that's in the classic version. If you're playing with the variant version, there's other ways, like Sauron has the Witch King, which can get into Mordor and win. So I already mentioned that there are other ways to play the game with the variant characters. You also have these special magic cards. You can throw these in the mix if you want to, where you can play these once per game. Like the Fellowship player immediately retreat sideways or backwards. A king revealed. Reveal Aragorn to show where he is. To choose a Sauron character, they must move that character during their next turn. The Dark Mordor. Move a Sauron character forward into an adjacent empty region and move another Sauron character. So again, you can mix and match these things. Other than that, though, that's how the game plays. Now note here, there are two versions of the game. There's a very small version of the game, which has pieces that are much smaller than these. This is the Fantasy Flight version, which is a nice big version and has two different characters. These slide in very easily, and they're pretty tall, and so you are not going to see what your opponent has in them. I like the back of these. They look nice. They have here, there's the tree on this side, and the Sauron player has the Eye of Sauron on their side. The board is functional. I mean, you don't need it to be much more than that. The cards, nice giant tarot-sized cards here with great artwork on them. Yeah, and I mentioned that the rules are pretty clear, but they have these reference sheet for each player. I wish these were a more manageable size. These are kind of big giant sheets here, but they do tell you every special ability of the characters, and then it's all their cards, so you can see exactly their hand. There's no secret information other than what characters and what cards you're playing, but you can't sit there and say, I don't know what's in your hand. You know exactly what the opponent has. This is a game that has continually grown on me. I really enjoy it. I've always, from my childhood, I've liked Stratego. Stratego is a game in which you have all your troops out there with different numbers and you're moving them, trying to outguess the other person. This is a smaller version of that. In fact, this feels at first blush like it's more confined because you have only 9 characters. And you're going to be fighting consistently in this game. It's going to end pretty quickly. A game of Lord of the Rings Confrontation could be as quick as 15-20 minutes, although I would say usually it'll last half an hour or so. But what makes the difference is not just the different numbers that are out there, it's that the special powers are out there. And in fact, this game is tremendously asymmetrical, and as far as I can tell, it's nigh perfectly balanced. The Sauron player has much stronger units. When you look at the numbers there, they have a Cave Troll, which is a 9 strength. Can't play a card, but I mean, honestly, the highest strength character for the Fellowship player is Gandalf, who's a 5. The Cave Troll can whoop up on Gandalf if you're not careful. And so I like that aspect of the game. But the Fellowship player has characters like Boromir, who can go in there and hopefully fight the Cave Troll. Then Boromir and the Cave Troll are both out of the game. You've lost a 0 character. They lost their 9. Then you play another card and use Merry to take out one of their big units. And the whole point is to slip Frodo into the Shire, trying to make the Sauron player double think where you are. Sam is pretty powerful when he's with Frodo. So when the two of them are combined, Sam's a more powerful unit. But it's about outthinking the other player. The Fellowship feels stronger with their special abilities. Sauron players stronger with sheer power. And whatever side you play, you're going to think the other side has the advantage. And I think that's a good thing. Now, if you're going to get the game, I don't think it's a bad thing to have the original game. It's a much smaller box, takes a smaller footprint. But this version does have double the content. The Fantasy Flight team brought in not only 9 new characters, which more than doubles the content because you can play the 9 original, the 9 variant, or mix them, which gives you lots of different combos. But it also adds those magic cards. Now, I very rarely play with the magic cards. They're nice, but I don't think they're necessary. And I usually don't mix the variant and the original set. I just pick one and play with it because it's faster to set up and go, and go that way. But the option is there. It's a gorgeous looking game, has nice artwork. When this game was produced from Fantasy Flight, they were really, the movies were out at this point in time. Lord of the Rings was very popular. They were doing several games based on Lord of the Rings. There was the Lord of the Rings cooperative game. There was the War of the Ring, things like that. They were all coming out at the same time. But this one here has those big tiles and big art, and it just brings it to life. It makes sense what each character does. It makes sense that Boromir is someone who sacrifices their life. It makes sense that Sam is there protecting Frodo. It makes sense that Gimli can easily defeat the goblins, or the orcs, I mean. I like that. And yet at the same time, if you don't know any of that, you could play it straight as a numbers game. The idea of putting a card down, revealing them at the same time as your opponent, and try to outguess each other, I mean, that's been done for years. I mean, it started with Cosmic Encounter and other games, but it's a good mechanism. It's fun. So this is definitely one, if you can find a copy of this somewhere, I think you should pick it up. And honestly, I think this one's about due for a reprint. Maybe with the new Amazon Prime series coming out, that they'll come back and bring this. A 20th anniversary edition, who knows. But if you can find one, check it out. That's Lord of the Rings, The Confrontation. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent!